guys, it's Genevieve here. So in this week's video, I'm going to be working with Posca pens. Now I know I'm a little late to the party because there was this big spiel about Posca pens about a month or so ago, and I am only now trying them today, but there's actually an interesting story behind the process of me getting these pens, and it all started when I went on Amazon and decided I want some Posca pens. So I went and I found myself a 12-pack, which you can see on the left here in the video, and I went out, I bought the pens, and I had them sent to me, and that was that. Or at least I thought that was that. So a few days pass, and I still haven't received my pens, and I'm like, Amazon said that they were gonna do 2-day delivery. Oh well, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, so I'll wait a couple more days. A couple more days pass, I still don't have my pens. Now I'm starting to get suspicious. So I go on Amazon to see where my package might be, and I go into my orders and I click the link, and I realize in horror that I sent my pens to my dorm room. The dorm room that I no longer live in. So for those of you who don't know, this past year I lived in a college dormitory, and I had the address for my dorm saved on my Amazon so that I wouldn't have to worry about changing it every time I made an order. Well, it turns out that I forgot to change the address on my Amazon back to my home address. And as a result of that, my Posca pens were sent to my school. And so because of that, they do have a service where any packages they receive, they either forward them to the correct address or they just send them back to the buyer. Or not the buyer, because I'm the buyer, the seller. Now, in my case, the Posca pens were unfortunately sent back to the seller rather than forwarded to my address, which I had in the system, but they just didn't forward it to me. So I was a little upset about that when I found out that I had been refunded for my order and that I needed to rebuy them again, but whatever, you know, it was my fault. So anyways, I reordered my Posca pens and I had same-day shipping, and then 8 hours later they arrived on my doorstep nearly 6 weeks late. So yeah, it was quite the waiting game to get these pens, but overall I think it was definitely worth it. The only drawback to these pens is that the nib is really small. And so if you're coloring in a big area like I am on this entire piece, you're going to be sitting on your butt coloring with these pens for quite a while, because I actually had more footage for this video showing, you know, the beginning of the piece, coloring in the buildings and the trees and the windows and stuff like that, but unfortunately that footage got corrupted, so I couldn't use it. So I had to, you know, keep filming the rest of the piece. But even with only half of a piece left to film, I still had a solid hour and a half worth of footage to edit down. So, yeah, this is pretty much the fastest speed paint I've ever done in my entire life, because if I had the setting any lower, we would literally be here for like 30 minutes and you'd just be watching me slowly color in a road, which even as I'm watching it while doing this voiceover, I can tell is very boring, even if I'm talking over it. So yeah, but for the most part, like I said, these pens are actually really good. They're nice and opaque, and if I remember this correctly, the consistency of the ink that the pens use is very similar to, I think it's acrylic. I'm not quite sure exactly what kind of paint this is, but I think it's acrylic. I haven't really used acrylic paints since high school, and so, you know, I think this was kind of a really good way for me to get back into using acrylics, because you know, for the past couple of months and year, I've been using mostly graphite, watercolor, and, you know, colored pencils and stuff. So I actually really enjoyed using these pens despite how long it took me to finish this piece, and I'm actually really pleased with how the piece came out, despite the fact that I had no idea what I was doing with these pens. I just kind of saw a sketch I wanted to color in and just kind of went for it. Another thing I like about these pens is how easy they are to control. With some pens, they can be kind of difficult to use because of how, you know, flexible or bendy the tip is, but because these have a nice, solid, and inflexible tip, these are actually really, really easy to use, which I was pretty pleased about because one of my concerns with these pens is that they were going to be really difficult to use, but these were actually pretty user-friendly, and I think the reason why this piece came out as good as it did was because I had so much fine control over the paint and where it went. I did have some trouble with splashing, like if I pressed down too hard and I went too fast, the paint would kind of splash around everywhere, but because the paint is so opaque, I was just able to go over those splashes with other colors, so that wasn't too big of an issue. But yeah, overall, I actually really, really like these pens. I think when they run out, I'm definitely going to get more, and I am absolutely going to be doing more Posca pen pieces in the future. However, I can guarantee you that they're not going to be nearly as big as this piece, because I think for my first time using Posca pens, this size of a piece might have been a bit ambitious, even though it did come out so nice. So in the future, I am definitely going to be downsizing my paper size when it comes to doing pieces using Posca pens. So yeah, if you yourself were debating whether or not you should get Posca pens, or if they were worth all the hype that they got earlier in this year, I definitely think there is some validity to it, and I definitely think that you should go out and at least try them yourself. If you're just looking for a new medium to get into, then these are definitely a very interesting medium to look into, and they're actually fairly user-friendly. So even if you're not a very good, you know, painter per se, this could be a way for you to kind of get into, you know, using a paint-like medium. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say for this week's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you liked this video and this piece. I'm planning on making this into a print at some point. I'm still doing some final editing and stuff, and adding little details here and there. But yeah, I should be launching my store hopefully pretty soon, but we will see if that actually happens. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you leave a like down below and subscribe to my channel. And if you enjoy these Posca pens, I will make sure to leave a link to where I found my pack in the description down below. And as always, I will see you all next time. Bye!